The savage roar echoed through the canopy as Jake Anderson threw himself between the charging lion and a paralyzed Samantha Hayes. Blood pounded in his ears as he raised the makeshift spear, his only thought protecting the woman who, just hours earlier, he'd considered nothing more than another entitled tourist. In that heartbeat between life and death, as amber eyes locked with his, Jake's world narrowed to one impossible choice. If you're gripped by this incredible journey of survival, courage, and unexpected connection, please hit that like button and subscribe for more extraordinary true stories that remind us of the power of the human spirit in the face of impossible odds. Jake Anderson never planned on being a jungle guide in Costa Rica. At 35, the former Army Ranger had stumbled into the job after his wife's death left him alone with their daughter Emma, searching for somewhere to heal away from painful memories. The remote eco-resort had offered both employment and education for 10-year-old Emma, a sanctuary where they could rebuild their fractured lives one day at a time. "Dad, you're hovering again," Emma said one morning, not looking up from her science homework spread across their small kitchen table. Her sandy blonde hair was pulled into a messy ponytail, freckles dotting a nose that was always in a book these days. "Am not," Jake replied, pretending to busy himself with washing breakfast dishes while covertly checking her work. "Just making sure you understand molecular structures." Emma rolled her eyes but couldn't hide her smile. "I understand molecules better than you do. You still think atoms look like little solar systems. They don't?" Jake feigned shock, rewarded by his daughter's giggle, a sound still too rare since losing her mother 2 years ago. Their morning routine was interrupted by his phone buzzing. Jake grimaced at the message. Great. They moved up the executive adventure package. Some hotshot tech CEO and her team arriving this afternoon instead of next week. "The ones from California?" Emma asked, her interest piqued. Science and technology fascinated her in ways Jake could barely comprehend. "Yeah. Horizon Quantum. Apparently, their CEO is so important the whole resort is scrambling." He kissed the top of Emma's head. "Be good at school. No correcting your teacher about black holes again." "She was wrong, Dad," Emma insisted. "Hawking radiation is real." Across the resort, Samantha Hayes was already analyzing the logistics of maintaining business operations while 12 time zones away from Silicon Valley. At 38, she had built Horizon Quantum from a garage startup to a multi-billion-dollar quantum computing company through relentless focus and uncompromising standards. This team-building retreat felt like a colossal waste of time. "I don't need 3 days in a jungle to build a team," she muttered to her assistant, Robert, who had practically forced her to agree to the trip after losing 4 senior engineers in 3 months. "The board thinks otherwise," Robert reminded her gently, handing her a detailed itinerary. "Besides, you haven't taken a real break in 6 years. "Because there's never time," Samantha argued, already checking emails on her tablet. "Do you know how close our competitors are to achieving quantum supremacy? We can't afford downtime." 3 days won't sink the company," Robert said with the weary patience of someone who'd had this conversation countless times. "The jungle has spotty Wi-Fi anyway. You might actually have to relax." Samantha's horror at this prospect was interrupted by their arrival at the Welcome Pavilion, where the resort manager introduced their guide for tomorrow's expedition. "Ms. Hayes, this is Jake Anderson, our head wilderness instructor and survival specialist." Samantha assessed the man standing before her, tall, with sun-weathered skin and watchful blue eyes that seemed to take in everything at once. Unlike the resort's other staff in pressed uniforms, Jake wore faded cargo pants and a simple t-shirt that had seen better days. His handshake was firm but brief, his demeanor professional without being deferential. "Mr. Anderson will be leading your team through our wildlife sanctuary tomorrow," the manager continued. "It's our premium experience." "How long will this expedition take?" Samantha asked, already calculating productivity losses. Jake studied her for a moment before answering. 6 hours for the complete experience. We'll see 3 distinct ecosystems and likely encounter howler monkeys, sloths, and possibly a jaguar from a safe distance. Can we condense it to 4 hours? Samantha pressed. A slight frown creased Jake's forehead. The jungle doesn't work on corporate schedules, Ms. Hayes. Rushing increases risk and decreases experience quality. 6 hours is already the expedited version. Samantha felt her team watching for her reaction. They'd seen her dress down executives for less direct pushback. But something in the guide's calm confidence gave her pause. Fine. 6 hours, she conceded, ignoring Robert's surprised glance. As Jake outlined safety protocols, Samantha found her attention drawn to the quiet authority in his voice. He spoke about the jungle with genuine respect rather than the rehearsed enthusiasm of someone selling an experience. Most important rule, Jake emphasized, is that we stay together at all times. Second rule, we observe wildlife, never approach or feed it. We're visitors in their home. When the briefing ended, Samantha's CTO leaned over. Think he practices that serious face in the mirror? Very Crocodile Dundee meets GQ. Samantha shot him a quelling look, though she'd had similar thoughts about their guide's rugged appearance. Focus on the team building, Mark. That's why we're here. The expedition began the following morning under clear skies. The jungle unfolded around them in layers of green, punctuated by flashes of color as birds darted between massive trees. Despite herself, Samantha felt a reluctant appreciation for the untamed beauty surrounding them. That bromeliad only blooms once every 7 years, Jake explained, pointing to a brilliant red flower growing from a tree branch. The hummingbirds have evolved specially shaped beaks just to reach its nectar. Seems inefficient, Samantha commented. 7 years for one reproductive cycle? Jake's lips quirked in what might have been amusement. Nature prioritizes resilience over efficiency. What looks wasteful often provides redundancy against catastrophic failure. He glanced at her. Something even tech companies might learn from. The pointed observation caught Samantha off guard. People rarely challenged her thinking so directly anymore. Before she could respond, one of her engineers called out about spotting a sloth, and the moment passed. As they ventured deeper into the reserve, the group loosened up, corporate hierarchies temporarily forgotten in the shared wonder of the rainforest. Jake led them across a narrow stream, explaining the ecosystem's delicate balance while helping each person navigate the slippery rocks. When he extended his hand to assist Samantha across, she hesitated before accepting it. His grip was steady and confident, gone the moment she reached solid ground. "You're not what I expected," she said impulsively as they walked ahead of the group. "What did you expect?" Jake asked, his attention never fully leaving their surroundings. "Someone more performative. The resorts I've visited usually hire guides who treat nature like a theme park attraction." Jake considered this. Hard to be fake about something that can kill you if you disrespect it. The blunt response startled a laugh from Samantha. "Fair point. How did you end up here? You don't seem the resort employee type." A shadow crossed Jake's face. "Life happens. Plans change." After a brief pause, he added, "My daughter needed a fresh start after her mother died. This place offered both work for me and school for her." "I'm sorry," Samantha said, the standard response feeling inadequate. "Emma's 10 now. Smart as they come. Wants to build quantum computers, actually." He gave her a sidelong glance. "She was pretty excited when I mentioned your company." Before Samantha could process this unexpected connection, Jake suddenly halted, raising his hand for silence. His relaxed demeanor vanished instantly, replaced by alert vigilance. "Everyone stay exactly where you are," he said quietly, eyes scanning the dense foliage ahead. "What is it?" Robert whispered, voicing the question on everyone's mind. "Lion," Jake replied, his voice barely audible. "Male, by the sound." Samantha frowned. Lions aren't native to Costa Rica. Exactly the problem, Jake confirmed, slowly reaching for his pack. Someone's exotic pet, either escaped or deliberately released. Those are the most dangerous. They associate humans with food but don't know how to hunt properly. Fear rippled through the group as Jake continued, "We're going to back away slowly and quietly. No sudden movements. Stay together." They had retreated perhaps 30 yards when a terrifying growl froze them in place. Through a gap in the undergrowth, Samantha glimpsed tawny fur and powerful shoulders, a full-grown male lion regarding them with predatory interest. "Nobody run," Jake whispered, positioning himself at the front of the group. Backing away slowly. The lion tensed, muscles rippling under its golden coat. In that moment, Mark panicked and bolted, triggering the predator's chase instinct. The lion exploded from the brush, not toward the fleeing CTO but directly at Samantha, who stood nearest its path. What happened next unfolded with surreal clarity. Jake lunged toward Samantha, shoving her roughly behind a massive tree as the lion charged. From his belt, he pulled a hunting knife, dropping into a defensive stance as 400 pounds of predator launched through the air. The impact knocked Jake backward, lion and man crashing to the ground in a horrifying tangle of snarls and desperate movement. Samantha watched in paralyzed terror as Jake fought to keep the knife between himself and snapping jaws, blood spattering the jungle floor. With a move born of desperation, Jake drove his knife into the lion's shoulder as powerful claws raked across his chest. The wounded animal recoiled with a roar of pain and fury. Jake scrambled to his feet, blood soaking his torn shirt, and grabbed a fallen branch, holding it like a spear as he positioned himself between the predator and the group. For several heart-stopping seconds, man and beast faced each other in primal standoff. Then, with a final snarl, the injured lion retreated into the jungle's depths. The silence that followed seemed to stretch forever until Samantha found her voice. "You're bleeding badly." Jake glanced down at his lacerated torso as if just noticing his injuries. "We need to move. It might return." Despite visible pain, he guided them swiftly along the trail, radioing ahead for emergency medical support. Only when they reached the resort's perimeter did Jake allow himself to stumble, color draining from his face as adrenaline ebbed. Medical staff rushed forward with a stretcher while security personnel mobilized to track the wounded lion. As they loaded Jake onto the stretcher, his eyes found Samantha's. "Sorry for pushing you so hard," he managed, his voice strained. "Probably not the VIP treatment you're used to." "You saved my life," Samantha replied, surprised by the emotion constricting her throat. "I think my ego can handle a little bruising." That evening, after refusing the resort doctor's recommendation to rest, Samantha made her way to the staff medical facility. She found Jake sitting up in bed, torso heavily bandaged, helping a young girl with what appeared to be math homework. "The cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, Dad," the girl was saying with the patience of someone explaining something obvious. "You're thinking of tangent." "Knock knock," Samantha said softly from the doorway. Both heads turned toward her, same blue eyes, same evaluating gaze. "Miss Hayes," Jake acknowledged, surprise evident in his voice. "Meet my daughter, Emma." The girl regarded Samantha with undisguised curiosity. "Are you really the quantum computing lady? Do you use superconducting qubits or ion traps in your processors?" "Emma," Jake warned gently. "Not everyone wants a technical interrogation when they're just saying hello. Actually, we're transitioning from superconducting to topological qubits," Samantha found herself answering, charmed by the girl's directness. "Less decoherence issue." Emma's face lit up. "I knew it. Dad, she's using topology to create stable quantum states." "That's exactly what I was telling you about." Jake gave Samantha an apologetic look. "She reads quantum physics journals for fun. I barely understand every fifth word." "It's impressive," Samantha said sincerely. To Emma, she added, "Most of my engineers couldn't explain topological qubits that clearly." Emma beamed before her expression turned serious. Dad says you almost got eaten today. He exaggerates, Samantha replied. He's the one who tangled with the lion. He does stupid brave things sometimes, Emma said matter-of-factly. Mom used to say his heart's bigger than his brain. A flash of grief crossed Jake's face, quickly masked. Homework, kiddo. Give us a minute? Emma rolled her eyes but gathered her books. Fine. I'll go find Teresa and ask for hot chocolate. At the door, she turned back to Samantha. If you want to talk quantum entanglement sometime, I have theories. When she'd gone, silence settled between the adults. Samantha found herself uncharacteristically unsure what to say. Thank you, she finally offered, the words feeling wholly inadequate. You risked your life for someone you barely know. Jake shrugged, then winced at the movement. Wouldn't have done any different for anyone else. That's what makes it remarkable, Samantha said quietly. In my world, everything has a price tag or an agenda. What you did today doesn't compute. Some things aren't meant to compute, Jake replied, studying her with unexpected perception. Some things just are. Samantha found herself drawn into conversation with this man who seemed so different from anyone in her high-powered tech sphere. Jake spoke about raising Emma alone, the challenges of helping her through grief while managing his own, and finding purpose in starting over. The hardest part, he confessed, is learning to measure success differently. Used to be medals and missions accomplished. Now it's whether Emma feels secure enough to be a kid again. His words resonated with Samantha more than she cared to admit. What was her measure of success? Quarterly earnings? Market share? When had she last felt genuine fulfillment beyond the fleeting satisfaction of beating a competitor? Their conversation was interrupted by a resort manager arriving with paperwork about the incident. Jake signed forms while the manager assured Samantha that the lion had been tracked, tranquilized, and would be relocated to a wildlife sanctuary. Your company's PR team has already been in contact, the manager informed her. They're prepared to issue a statement about your bravery during the incident. Samantha felt a surge of irritation. My bravery? I froze while Mr. Anderson fought a lion. Make sure your statement reflects who the actual hero was. After the manager left, Jake raised an eyebrow. That sounded almost like genuine humility, Ms. Hayes. Careful, you might damage your CEO reputation. Samantha, she corrected, surprising herself. After sharing a near-death experience, I think we're on first-name terms. Samantha, he repeated, the name sounding different in his voice, less a title and more a person. The following morning, her team gathered for breakfast, subdued and still processing yesterday's trauma. When Robert suggested canceling their final activity, a guided nighttime nature walk, and returning to California immediately, Samantha found herself reluctant to leave. Actually, she said, I'd like to stay the full time as planned. Yesterday showed me we have real team-building work to do. Mark ran in panic instead of helping others. That's not who we want to be as a company. Her team looked surprised but nodded in agreement. As they discussed lessons from the experience, a small figure approached their table. Excuse me, Emma said, clutching a notebook. Ms. Hayes, I was wondering if you might sign this? It's my journal of quantum computing ideas. Samantha found herself genuinely touched by the request. I'd be honored, Emma. But only if you'll explain your latest theory to me. Emma pulled up a chair without hesitation and opened her notebook to complex diagrams that would have challenged many graduate students. As she enthusiastically explained her thoughts on quantum error correction, Samantha noticed her team watching with expressions ranging from amusement to genuine interest. Where's your dad this morning? Samantha asked when Emma paused for breath. Arguing with the doctor, Emma replied with an eye roll. He wants to lead the night walk tonight even though he has 22 stitches. He's stubborn. Must run in the family, Samantha observed, earning a grin from the girl. That evening, despite medical advice, Jake met them at the trailhead for the night walk, moving carefully but insisting he was fit to guide. When Samantha raised concerns about his injuries, he simply said, "The jungle looks different at night. Worth a little discomfort to show you." He was right. The forest transformed under starlight, bioluminescent fungi glowing along the path like tiny blue constellations. Nocturnal creatures emerged, kinkajous scampering through branches, an ocelot glimpsed between trees, and thousands of fireflies creating living light displays. Walking slightly behind the group, Samantha found herself beside Jake. "Your daughter is extraordinary," she said quietly. "Her understanding of quantum mechanics is genuine, not just memorized concepts." Pride softened Jake's features. "She gets her intelligence from her mother. Catherine was an astrophysicist before." He left the sentence unfinished. "Emma mentioned you were military before this?" Jake nodded. "Army Rangers. Planned to make it a career until life intervened. Catherine's diagnosis changed everything." He glanced at her. "What about you? Always planned to run a tech empire?" Samantha laughed softly. "Hardly. I just wanted to solve interesting problems. Then my algorithm started attracting attention, and suddenly I had investors and expectations and competitors." She hesitated before adding, "Sometimes I miss just being in a lab, focused on the science without all the corporate machinery." The conversation flowed easily between them as they walked. For the first time in years, Samantha found herself talking about more than business, her childhood dreams, books that had influenced her thinking, even her failed relationships sacrificed to career ambition. When they reached a clearing overlooking the valley, Jake instructed everyone to turn off their flashlights. Darkness enveloped them completely until their eyes adjusted to reveal a sky blazing with stars, the Milky Way stretching across the heavens in breathtaking clarity. "Worth the trip?" Jake asked quietly beside her. "Worth every minute," Samantha replied honestly. Something had shifted inside her over these few days, perspectives rearranged by unexpected experiences and connections. Their final morning at the resort, Samantha found Jake and Emma at the dock, fishing in the early light. Emma spotted her first and waved enthusiastically. "We're catching breakfast," she called. "Want to learn how?" Before Samantha could respond, Jake added, "Fair warning, she'll expect you to actually eat what you catch." "I'm game if you are," Samantha surprised herself by saying. For the next hour, CEO of Horizon Quantum learned the finer points of baiting hooks and reading water patterns from a 10-year-old who chattered about fish biology between explaining quantum entanglement theories. When Samantha finally caught a respectable tilapia, Emma's cheer of triumph felt more satisfying than closing their last funding round. As they cleaned their catch, Jake mentioned casually, "Emma's school has a science symposium next month. Students present projects to industry professionals." "Dad," Emma hissed, clearly embarrassed. Jake continued undeterred. "She's working on a quantum algorithm simulation. If Horizon has anyone who might be interested in attending." "I'll be there," Samantha said immediately, then clarified, I'll come myself, if that's appropriate." Emma's eyes widened. "Really? You would do that?" "Absolutely. Send me the details." Samantha pulled out her business card and handed it to Jake. "My personal number is on the back." Their fingers brushed during the exchange, lingering perhaps a moment longer than necessary. Something unspoken passed between them, a recognition of possibilities neither had anticipated 3 days earlier. As her team prepared to depart, Samantha found herself strangely reluctant to leave. At the resort entrance, Jake and Emma came to say goodbye. "Thank you again," Samantha said, suddenly formal in front of her watching team. "For everything." "Just doing my job," Jake replied with equal formality, though his eyes conveyed something more. Emma had no such reservations. She threw her arms around Samantha in a quick hug. "Don't forget about the symposium. And I'll email you my new ideas about topological stability." In the privacy of the resort's helicopter, Robert studied Samantha with undisguised curiosity. "You seem different." "Different how?" she asked, watching the jungle recede below them. "I don't know. More present? Less like you're mentally drafting emails during conversations." Samantha smiled. "Nearly getting eaten by a lion puts things in perspective." Back in California, Samantha surprised her executive team by implementing immediate changes. Flexible work hours for parents. Mandatory vacation time that had to actually be taken. A new emphasis on collaborative problem-solving rather than competitive internal metrics. "We need more resilience, less pure efficiency," she explained at their quarterly all-hands meeting. "Nature's had a few billion years to figure that out. Maybe we should pay attention." 4 weeks later, Samantha stood in the back of a middle school auditorium in Costa Rica, watching Emma Anderson confidently explain quantum error correction to bewildered judges. When the girl spotted her and beamed mid-presentation, Samantha felt something shift in her carefully ordered world. After the symposium, Jake approached with evident surprise. "You actually came." Emma was convinced, but I thought something would come up. "I rescheduled a board meeting," Samantha admitted. "Caused quite a stir." "Worth it?" he asked, echoing their conversation from the stargazing night. Samantha looked at Emma, proudly showing her project to other students, then back to Jake. "Definitely worth it. Though I should warn you, I'm not just here for the symposium. I'm exploring opening a research lab here in Costa Rica. Quantum computing requires creative thinking. Sometimes new environments spark innovation." "Convenient location," Jake observed, a smile playing at the corners of his mouth. "Very," Samantha agreed. "The jungle taught me some valuable lessons about what matters. I'm not quite ready to give up my corporate life, but I'm rethinking how it fits into the bigger picture." As Emma bounded over to join them, excitement radiating from her, Samantha realized that one improbable encounter had altered her life's trajectory in ways no strategic plan could have predicted. A single brave act had not only saved her life but somehow helped her rediscover parts of herself long sacrificed to ambition. Sometimes the most important connections form in the most unexpected circumstances, even face-to-face with a lion in a jungle far from home. If you found this story inspiring, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more incredible true stories about courage, connection, and finding meaning in unexpected places. Remember, sometimes life's most profound lessons come wrapped in moments of greatest danger. The next chapter of your own story might be waiting just around the corner.